everyone in Facebook world. We are about to go live on Instagram. Let
And
me
hello,
see.
hello, Instagram world. We are live here as well. And welcome to Window Treatment Friday Live. This is episode number 116. And pretty soon I'm going to be joined by my friend and colleague, Kimberly Seraphim from WindowWorks. And if you are new listening to our show today, this is a window treatment live broadcast that Kim and I do here every Friday at 9 a.m. We pick a window treatment topic, we take it apart, we put it back together. We just have a lot of fun doing it. We share our war stories, we share our successes, experiences, so that you can learn from us.
Perfect. And then Vita will be joining us shortly on Instagram. I am here. Welcome, welcome, everybody. If you're just joining us now, today's episode is Cornice versus Valance. Have some really good inspirational goodies for you.
Yeah, we have some really good pictures and the distinctions between Cornice and the Valance, so it's going to be really cool. All right, I am connecting.
There
I'm
we
almost here.
are.
I am here. All right. Hello,
Yes.
hello, everyone. Hello, Instagram. Hello, Facebook. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We cannot wait to share the differences between cornices and valances and tell you everything we need to know about those in the 30 minutes or less. Oh,
Oh,
somebody just said something. Hey, Dora.
hey, Dora.
Oh,
Nice to
cool.
see you.
All right. So, without further, actually, with a little bit of further ado, let's talk about how this whole thing started.
Yes. So this whole Window Treatment Friday live really stemmed from a podcast, a series that Luann and Vita would do. And just to dial it back, Luann Nagara's podcast, A Well-Designed Business. So Vita and Luann would talk about once a month, bi-monthly on the business side of running a window treatment business. And so during the pandemic, Vita and I thought, wouldn't it be cool to bring the visual side to life so that we can kind of dissect previous projects, pain points that we've had, mistakes that we've had, just to kind of share with you our knowledge and things that we have learned over the course of 2 decades between the two of us doing this.
And if one podcast wasn't enough, our Miss Luann Nigeri decided to start another podcast. So the previous one was called, or the one that Kim was just talking about, was called A Well-Designed Business. It is targeted to interior designers. And the second one that she started is called Window Treatments for Profit. And that one is targeted to the window treatment retailer, workroom, installer, vendor, anybody who is in the middle, in the niche of the window treatment industry. And moi, yours truly, is privileged and humbled to have a recurring host seat every Thursday morning. I come out with a 10-minute tip. I call it Vita's Tip in 10. It is a small but a mighty tip to set you up for success for that day, the month, the year, just giving you something of a little bit of inspiration, education to run a better window treatment business. So please join us wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Okay. So this first project was a project that we did for Susie Chusid Designs. And as you can see here, it is a very intense cornice that we have going on here.
I didn't realize this was a cornice. I'm like, so the title says kitchen cornice and drapery pants. I'm like, where is the cornice? Why am I not seeing
Were
the
you
cornice?
were you like, is that wallpaper?
Yes, that's exactly what I thought. I thought it was wallpaper. Or actually, as a matter of fact, right now we are in the thick of reupholstering
Unupholstered
walls.
walls. Yep.
So I thought you guys upholstered walls maybe, or wallpaper was the first thing that came to mind,
Yeah.
honestly.
So okay, so I'm going to dial back this project. So what we had here, this is one of Susie's clients, her kitchen area, where her kitchen eating area, and here in Livingston, um, the architects here in the 70s and 80s and 90s, they loved putting these like really strange like shaped windows. That although an arch isn't strange, but they would just like plop them wherever they were like, yeah, this looks good, and so. Then
Because
on
it
the
was like it was an asset. It was a thing, that
yes,
it was
that
something
you
to
did.
like a sellable point to a house. Like, how many
Yeah, like
arches does it have? Does it belong here? No, who cares? Let's just slap it in.
it's like a car when they're like, "Oh, it has a sunroof." I'm like, "Great, I wouldn't use it anyway." So,
Right.
like,
Exactly.
so what the challenge here was the client had the arch window and then had a bank of 6 windows, 6 crank out windows underneath. So that's what you're seeing the drape underneath. And
Mm.
then on the left side had a bank of 4 windows.
Mhm.
So,
And some sort of skylight up there, right?
yes, and a skylight.
Mhm.
Because let's just throw it all, everything in the kitchen
Why not?
sink in when we're doing a window layout. So the challenge was Susie didn't want us to just put a drapery rod going across so that it would feel like the room was being chopped off, which it would have.
Yes.
Um, so what we came up with was, well, we could do a cornice on the other side and really
Mhm.
look like it brought height. But then how do we
Mhm.
treat this lovely section of angled roof,
Mhm.
arched window, and
Mhm.
whatnot? And you couldn't
Mhm.
just go straight across. Like even the client was willing to just say, "Hey, I don't really care about the arch window." Like, but
Mm.
because of how high the arch went up, it was higher than what it was on the corner on the left and right side, again, because of the angled roof.
That's right.
So we came up with this plan. And what we did was we did an upholstered cornice that followed the shape of the roof line. We cut out for the arch. Now the cornices met in the corner. So the
Mhm.
other cornice was just a straight rectangular upholstered cornice. And
Mhm.
then underneath, we did a Kirsch Architrack cord and draw Architrack rod that we installed right on the molding because in certain
Mhm.
sections, the rod is covered, but we
Mhm.
went with just a white non decorative molding. But in that middle section of where the arch is exposed,
Mhm.
you're going to see the rod.
Mhm.
So that was the best solution that we're like, okay, you're going to see maybe 3 feet of rod.
Mhm.
It is what it is. But yeah, so that's how we came up with this whole scenario.
Yeah.
And what's cool is the drapes do stack on the side. So the client does have the view of her backyard on both ends. But yeah, this was a big template that had to be made. And
Yeah.
it was, it was one
Okay,
of those
okay. I
challenging.
have so many questions. I'm like
Sure.
bursting, but this is a
Okay.
half-hour show.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it to that. But so, okay, so just to make sure that our listeners understand that
Mhm.
the cornice actually protrudes into the room, okay? So
Mhm.
where you're seeing that in the corner, it's not, it looks in the picture like it's flat on the wall, but it's not. There's a protrusion into the room there. So I would
Mhm.
assume that's about maybe 6 to 7 inches or so. Do you
Yeah.
have a photo of the drapes open? Do we? What is the next photo? No, we don't. I'm sorry, guys.
Sorry. I will see if
Working on a similar scenario.
I will see if I could find a photo, either something that we have in archives or look on the designer's website and see if we possibly have one with it open. And then I'll post it. If I do, then I'll have Stephanie post it to stories later on today.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so okay, so that was what, like a 7 inch projection or
Yes.
so? I'm thinking about 3.5 for the drape and another 3.5 for for the cornice.
Yep.
Okay. And and then how wide is that wide window with the arch? I mean, I can't even imagine creating that big hunk of cornice that is just so huge. And I mean, it's massive.
Now
But
you're
you
making me
transport
flex.
it. I don't know.
This was no, it was one piece, and it did
Mhm.
take. It was obviously both Billy and Carlos installing this, so it was a
Yeah,
2 man.
two-man
Um,
install.
Yep. Are the cornice and the drapes flush? No, the drapes sit behind the cornice.
Right.
So it kind of looks like they're flush because the arch is exposing it, but they are behind it. And there's probably, I want to say maybe like 2 inches of space between the back of the cornice and the front of the drape. So that this way it gives
Mhm,
the drape the flexibility to open and close without
mhm.
rubbing up against the cornice, and it just is a smooth operation.
Right, right, right. Yeah, so if you were to look at it in the profile, here's the wall, here's the drape, here's
Exactly.
the cornice. I mean, they're all stacking in front of each other. So I mean, there's some engineering involved for sure.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
the one tip that I can give our listeners, something that we're doing as we speak. So you know how, so we're in the process of upholstering these walls in Philadelphia, in Rittenhouse Square, Philly, anybody who is
Hmm.
local, in the apartment building, 30th floor penthouse. And there, we're also doing drapes on Kirsch rods, but because the designer is going for a very similar look, like all in the same fabric, we attached fabric onto the Kirsch rod.
Mm,
So we want to say we covered the rod with fabric, which is a bit of a misnomer. You don't just cover it fully because you would cover the mechanism and it won't be able to function. But we did cut out a strip of fabric and we attached it to the face of the rod. So this is something that if you guys have a similar situation and you don't want the rod exposed, you can always do something like that. A little bit of the white writing will get exposed underneath because that's the carriers do have to run back and forth smoothly, but at
sure.
least the top of the rod won't be so white and sterile looking.
Melissa, I did find two pictures of the drapes partially open, so I will have Stephanie post them later on to stories this afternoon. So
Look at you
stay tuned for
multitasking.
that. Yep. I thought there were pictures, but they're not open. They're not drawn all the way because I guess when the pictures were being taken, there was too much light that came into the room. But they are drawn partially, and it's what's nice is now you can see kind of like a profile view of it, so you can see where the cornice, how much the cornice sticks out, and where the drapes are installed. So
That's
stay
awesome
tuned. Yeah.
for that. All right, let's take a little bit of a commercial break here after this massive of a project.
Yeah. All right. So if you are in the New Jersey and New York area and you are looking to purchase a cornice, a cornice, hello, an awning, sorry, one track mind today, an awning, that's the other half of our business of what we do here at Window Works. We also treat the exterior shading portions of your home. And if you are, just getting started on, you're doing your research on what is the best awning to purchase for your patio space, head on over to Window Works. We have a free buying guide, 5 mistakes that you could avoid when purchasing a quality awning.
Hmm, awesome. So now I'm going to show you a very, very simple cornice. Maybe we should have started with a simple cornice,
The
but no,
simple one,
we
yeah.
went all the way. So essentially, what is a cornice? A cornice is a one, two, three, four-sided board. So it has a board on the top. It's called dust cap. It has two boards on the side. They're called legs. And it has the front board. And I don't know what it's called. It's just the front board. So essentially, out of plywood, your fabricator puts the whole, like it's like a half a box together. And then the half a box is covered in Dacron, which is like a filler that makes it what's the word, like soft, and it has a little
Hmm.
bit of a crown, and then you cover it with face fabric. So that's essentially what a cornice is. You want to do a cornice when you need something that should look structured and very tailored. It's also often associated with something more traditional too. So
Hmm.
this was a situation where we do these cornices for this builder. They're called Rockwell Builder. They're based out of the Philadelphia area. We have done a lot of their model homes. And as you know, a lot of model homes also have sales offices attached to them. So every sales office, they want to have the same cornice. So they've picked this black fabric and this stout trim. So when we have a wide window like that, we just run this black velvet fabric along the covered cornice in that black fabric, and we have 2 rows of trim on each side. When we have a smaller window, we actually do just 1 row on one side. So this is kind of like their signature treatment, if you will. You will see it in all of the Rockwell Builders sales offices. Very simple
Very nice.
treatment, elegant, tailored. Not in this case, it's not super traditional because that's not how builders build and decorate homes
Hmm.
nowadays, but it is something very architectural and tailored. So here you
Oh, very
see
pretty.
a close up of it. And what we do on all of our cornices is that we run either self or contrasting piping. In this
Hmm.
case, it is self piping, so it's made out of the same fabric. And what it is like this roll of fabric that is run along the top of the cornice, the bottom of the cornice, along the returns. Those are the sides that go perpendicular to the wall, and then along the back of the leg. So everything is what's called piped out, which allows it to have a much more finished look. But also there is a bit of utilitarian point to it. Not all walls are created straight. Some of them are a bit wavy. And so in order to mitigate those gaps and cover the gaps, the cord really helps. And it's not a big cord, it's only about 3/8 of an inch or so, but you can tuck it towards the wall in such a way that if there is a little bit of a gap between the leg of the cornice and the wall, that gap is covered. So not only does it look pretty and finished, but it also is a practical addition.
Yeah, it is a nice simple solution, um, when you wanna just add a little something to the top of a window, because look how
Mhm,
much pack and punch this simple black fabric that you have, and then you're just adding this really pretty detail of the tape trim coming in
mhm.
along the sides. Now, I have a question for you. Do you guys like, is it the kind of thing, and it's hard to tell with the angle, do we line up the trim to the mullions of the window
We
or no?
don't.
Okay,
We
good.
don't. We
Okay, because
just yeah,
that's
it just kinda depends. If it's a
on the
large
side.
window, like, we try to hug the window with our
Yep,
cornices,
so do we.
meaning we don't have okay.
Yeah.
Actually, and it's not something that I used to do in the past. Like, in the past, I've been taught when I first started that you should have 2 to 3 inches between the molding of the window and where the cornice ends. I was taught that that's what like allows the cornice to breathe and it's not so tight on the window. And lately, on the request of several designers and just kind of like evolving myself, we've been making it as tight to the molding as possible. So it's really like hugging, and there's not so much space on the side.
Yeah, we'll go
And
like
then
an
as
inch
far
and a
as the
half.
trim, we just you go an
Yeah,
inch and a half.
yeah.
We almost go like if this is the molding, we go almost straight up to the molding.
Oh, that is your
That's
Desi.
hugging.
You gotta be super exact there. Okay,
Yeah.
so another quick commercial break. If you are new to the window treatment market and really don't know where to start in terms of knowing the difference between a drape or a Roman shade, head on over to windowworksnj.com. Luann wrote an ebook, Architectural Digest is coming. 10 things you need to know about custom window treatments. It's really like a custom window treatment 101 guide.
Awesome.
Okay. So again, this is actually another project that we did for Susie and one of her clients. So Susie really loves a great cornice. She
Mhm.
loves doing patterns or loves having patterns. She loves an oversized cornice. So this is kind of her signature look here. So this is for a retired couple clients that we did for her, and they moved into this new condo, and they still, even though they were retired and kind of downsizing from their big home here in Livingston, they wanted to just still dress the windows. I often find sometimes when I have clients who are going from the big house, to the smaller townhomes or condos, are like, yeah, I've been there, did that, did the whole layering of window treatments. I just want something simple. But this
Mhm.
couple really went for it, which was really great. So what
Mhm.
we did here was it was two cornices that we installed. Again, Susie likes bringing everything as high as possible. So we went underneath that soffit and we dropped the cornice down maybe about 15, 16 inches to the top
Yeah, it
of
doesn't
the,
look
yeah,
too long.
it's
Mhm.
not too big. And and we did it with we did the drapes and the cornice out of the same material. What you can't tell here in the photo is that we did find a contrasting welt
Mm.
fabric that we found that the client
I
really
think you
liked.
might have a close up. Let me see. No, not close
No,
up.
no.
Mhm.
So what we did a contrasting welt, so that way we pulled that darker color of the gray of the fabric just to
Nice.
kind of give it that extra level of
I
detail, that
love
little bit
doing
of
that.
yeah.
Mhm.
So it's just like a small little thing that we did, but the clients really appreciated it. They really liked adding the like extra accoutrement, if you would, to the cornice. So I just feel like because they wanted to be able to cover the top of the shades that we put into the window. They didn't
Mm,
want to see the bulky like headrail.
sure.
So this is a good solution if you are ever working with a client that you installed a shade inside mount and they're really not loving the headrail. And this is a way to cover it. Also, these drapes were fully functional
Mhm.
and they were blackout. So the cornice helped with any kind of light bleed that would potentially go
Mhm.
above. If you were to
Mhm.
do a rod, you would get lighting that goes above. So that's another situation, especially in bedrooms where we
That's right.
use a lot of cornices, is to help with that whole light bleed scenario. So you do have to, when you are doing anything room darkening, it does have to be a multi-layered approach We have done a whole episode on room darkening, so I'm not going to really get into that right now because that is a whole nother 30-minute episode. But this is why one of the other reasons why we did do a cornice here was for the room darkening.
Nicely done, Kim. You know, we have
Thanks.
we have also done several projects where the cornice and the drapes were the same fabric in a very similar fashion. Also, like two windows in the bedroom, cornice at the top, two
Hmm.
functional drapes. And it's definitely a look, I think, that is not for everyone, but it
No.
is for certain people that love it. And there's something I've come to really appreciate it. There's a certain level of elegance about it. There's a certain level of like consistency running the same fabric across all of your treatments. If it's definitely, I think, an option for especially like an older, more traditional type of clientele,
Hmm.
and especially in the bedrooms where blackout is of importance.
Sure.
Nicely done. And
Thank you.
that's
And then there's just a close up of it. Yeah.
yep. All right, another quick, very, very quick commercial break. We have free gifts for you here. Not only do Kim and I show up here every Friday morning and give you free education, but we also want you to walk away with a free gift that we have available on our website. So from Vitalia Inc., it is a curated lookbook filled with inspiration and education. We call it 37 and a half window treatment ideas that you can steal, swipe, and use immediately on your next design project. And you can get yours at vitaliainc.com. So head on over there and please check it out. Okay, so this next project, oh, sorry, my dog is ripping up a piece of paper in my feed. All right, so this next project was really interesting. It was a small little window, rather a small bay window or box window, I should say. But the challenge here actually proved pretty challenging. And the challenge was not only do we had to make sure that the valance fit perfectly within that square window and all the deductions were taken properly, but we also went over and in front of shades, pre pre-installed shades that were already there when we got there. So
Hmm.
these were cellular shades. It perhaps probably is a little bit hard to see in the picture, but they're there. They're just drawn all the way up. So we had to make sure that our deductions were taken properly to not get in the way of those shades. So what we did is we actually created these boards first. So here, this is actually a valance, not a cornice, and you can tell that because there's no front board. So we're not upholstering a board in the front. We're only going over the dust cap, which is the board on the front, the legs, which is what I'm holding. So this is me there, actually like sitting or standing on top of the kitchen counter and dry fitting this board to make sure that it fits right in. And let me show you the final product, and this is what it looks like. So this was a valance because the front board is not there, it's not upholstered. However, it's a really tailored valance, and the reason it's really tailored is because it is stretched taut over the side legs, so it almost looks as if it were a cornice. It has a little bit of softness there and a little bit of give, not quite as stretched as a cornice would, but still a very, very tailored approach. So the customer was very happy, and so were we. And here you can see that shade, the center shade is
Hmm.
almost fully down. So you can see that we had to make sure to create proper clearances for those shades.
So my question is, those legs that the legs that you were holding up there in the previous picture, did you incorporate those legs on the return, like closer to the face, or was
We
that
did.
just for measuring? Okay. So
We
that's
did.
how,
So
yeah.
not only are there legs that I'm holding, but we also added legs that would be adjacent to the wall so that we
Yeah.
had something to wrap around
To
and
keep
make
it
that balance
structured.
really structured. Exactly.
Now, if the client didn't want it so like perfect and like taut, could you forgo the legs that I know the answer to this, guys. I'm just asking to ask.
Yeah,
Could
yeah,
you
no, no, no. That's a
could you forgo the legs in the
if the
front?
we could have, yes, if the
Yeah, okay.
client did not want to have such a stretched and taut look, then we didn't have to do the legs, and it's something that could have been free hanging, which I think you have a picture coming up that is
Yeah.
more of a free hanging valance.
Yeah,
So
because real quick, when you're first looking at this at the first, I remember the first time I saw the finished product, the picture at a glance. I was like, oh, this is a pretty cornice that she did. And then when I really looked at it, I was like, nope, this is not a cornice. This is a
That's right.
valance. So
That's right. And even though it's stretched and tailored, when you're seeing it live, the front of the fabric has a little bit of like a sway to it, a little bit of a give. It's just not as so stretched over the board. So it's almost like it's an in-between solution. So you have the
yeah,
cornice that is totally stretched taut, then you have this type of valance that is stretched over the side legs that has a little bit of a wave in the front. And then the forthcoming pictures, you'll see those are just straight valance, pure valances, meaning that they're just attached to the board and they're free hanging, so they have a lot of give in the front.
nicely done.
And here we
Okay.
are.
All right. Now this, my friends, is an old school valance.
Yes, sirree.
I want to say this is over 20 years old. Full
Oh my
disclosure,
goodness. Wasn't that Luann's?
it's Luann's old kitchen.
Yes. I remember seeing it. This rang a bell.
So what this here is, these are um, board mounted swags that have bells in between them,
Hmm.
that she had this whole like kitchen eating area here. And you could see that she has the four windows, and then on the right side there's the door. So this room did get a lot of sun. So the challenge here for Luann was, and challenge, um, was they wanted to have the duets to help with the privacy and the light control, but the door and the windows were not at the same height.
Of
So
course not. I mean, why
no,
would they be?
that's
Why
why.
make it easy?
Yeah. So the duets were actually installed into the boards of the valance. And so when they were all the way up, they were hidden, they were concealed. And then it was deciding how far down do we bring those swags so that A, it could cover the duets, B, can cover up the fact that the windows and the doors are at different heights, and C, still allow the door to open because, haha, the door opens in to the
Of
kitchen,
course it does.
not out to the backyard. So those were the proposed challenges, and then connecting all these valances here. um so it what they were on boards. In a situation like this, Billy likes it where the valances are not attached to the boards prior to
Mm,
installation, so that this way if he has to make any like wiggle room, if something's off, because as you know, Vita, and I know, you can
yes.
sit and measure every little
Till you
angle.
turn blue in the face and something will
Yep.
go wrong. Yes.
And if they were already attached to the boards and like, all right, we're perfect, we're ready to go, and one little angle is off, then you're taking the time to take them off the boards, do all the things.
Right.
And the other like weird factor is the two windows on the left share a molding.
Oh, right, I see that. That's
You
right.
see that
Yeah, they're very
they're
close together with
closer
the other windows. They have
where they
wall
have
space
wall
in
space.
between. Of
Yeah.
course
So
they
like
do. I mean,
there's
why
there's
make it
all
easy?
this kind of weird stuff that was going on with these windows. So you can
Mhm.
see how like those duets are closer together than the other ones.
Yeah, now that you
So
mention it,
yeah.
yes.
So those are all the challenges, and one of the other reasons why Billy doesn't, in a situation like this, the way that we like to approach it is, let's kind of put it together on site just to see like if we have to make any kind of adjustments. And especially because the duets were going up and the valances were going up, so there was this was more of a layered look, but it did propose a little bit of a challenge because of the different installation circumstances that we had to deal with here. But
Yes.
yeah, this is a very super traditional Valance. I'm sure Vita's like salivating and loving it because she
I
loves a
I
good
do like me a good
swag.
swag. I do. I want swags to come
This is
back. This is no secret. I want swags to come back.
so
I
this is a
can't
little bit.
wait for them to. I can't wait to see in what new iteration they come back. Because everything is old is new again, and I know that they will circle back. I just hope that it's in my lifetime.
Well, I just saw someone post on Instagram, on an Instagram reel, that Party City has a costume, like a decades costume of the
Uh-huh.
90s.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Nice.
really? Really?
Nice.
And one of the
The
accessories,
90s, yes.
yeah, is a Blockbuster like movie case. Like that's the accessory, and I'm like, "Ah, okay."
I remember
Now
going to Blockbuster. I mean, I
that's
did
what
that.
you did.
Yep,
That's what you did on Friday nights. You went and
that's
you
right.
read new
Absolutely.
releases,
Uh-huh.
so
Yep.
I was just like, "Wow, my upbringing is now a costume. Fun."
I thought you were
I'm a
gonna say that somebody posted a costume of a swag. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, how is that
no,
possible? What can I
no,
do?
no, no.
What can I
So
do about it?"
so whatever's old is new again, and I mean, this is a little bit
100%.
more of like a modern take on a swag because it's not like the whole like droopiness of it. It is like tailored. The bottoms are almost kind of very even in. There's like no real
Right.
like high and low
Right, it's not,
point.
like, super, super
Yeah, it's
swaggy.
not super droopy or whatever,
Although the
but
rosette, I think, kinda brings that thing down in
yeah,
terms of
the
being super
medallion there. Yeah,
traditional,
I mean,
or
but
the
this is what you
medallion,
did.
whatever
This
that is,
this
yes.
is what you did, but yeah, so this is a traditional take.
Okay. Alright, so let's go from the super traditional take to a much more contemporary take. So
Yeah.
this is called a straight valance with side kick pleats and a center pleat. So if you're looking for a more contemporary topper, you don't want to do drapery panels for one reason or another, and you don't want to do a structured cornice. You just want something at the top of the window to give it a little bit of a finished look, like a little bit of a mascara on your eyelashes. This is the type of balance that you would go for. Very simple, very understated. We do it all day, every day. It's one of the most economical ways of doing a valance. And we do a lot of these for model homes, actually. And all it is, there's a dust cap at the top, and the valance is completely loose. There's no legs, there's no
Yep.
board, there's no batting, there's no stretching, there is no covering of anything. It's a loose valance, just like hanging on, let me close this down, hanging on the board. So in this particular case, we didn't do any kind of contrasting things, but you could add contrasting fabric inside the pleats. You could also add contrasting fabric in the piping. This was for a model home, which was on a very, very tight budget. So one fabric, straight up valance, the most economical way to treat a window.
Yeah, and so okay, so these were also um lined in the pleats because that's another
Yes.
way that
Yep.
we could do contrast lining or contrast panel there.
Contrast
We've done
pleat,
that.
that's
Yep,
yep,
we've
so this,
done
I mean,
that
it's
before.
it's a very cute and
Yeah.
sweet. There's not a whole lot of design work about it,
Nope.
but sometimes you just need to have something up on the wall, like, real quick. It could be a kitchen valance, it could be like a girl's room or boys' room valance,
Yep.
just something real quick and sweet and fast.
And
This is the way to do it. Well, quick
I
and
know
fast would be the same things, I
yeah.
suppose.
I know for me that when we are doing this, especially on like a really wide window, we always like to at least have one center pleat
Mhm,
because if you were to do this like on say like anything like over 6 feet and you just had the pleats on the end, the
mhm.
fabric isn't going to lay as pretty and as a structured if
Right,
it
it's gonna,
doesn't
like,
have it.
really, like, go askew a little bit, and this
It's
was a
going to
wide
waffle.
window. Yeah,
Yeah,
this was like a 60-plus-inch window, so we did put a center pleat there, and if you have a triple window, you can have several center pleats.
yeah.
So,
We've done it where we've
lots of
lined
good
it up
ways
with
to do
it. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways, and that's the cool part about going with custom is that we can really tailor the valances and how wide the pleats are to whatever the window conditions are or to whatever design aesthetic you really like.
it. That's right.
Okay. So this was a project that we did here for one of our retail clients. We actually redid these a couple times. She loved the style so much, but we replaced the fabric, I believe, 2 or 3 times. Um, so this is just simple mock Roman valances that we did. She has solar screen shades on the lower half of the transom windows, but
Mhm,
this kitchen was really tall. You're talking about
mhm,
almost like 9.5 foot, almost 10 foot high ceilings.
mhm,
So she didn't want to cover the transom. She wanted that to stay open. So
mhm,
we just did these simple, they're mounted on a board. We had 3 pleats sewn in at the bottom and we just
mhm.
installed it a couple inches above. Again, we lined it up. If you, it's kind of hard to tell, but you can see that there's like cabinet
Yep, yep, a little bit of a
molding,
molding,
a
like
little bit
peeking
of the
through
molding.
on the
Yep,
right-hand
on
side.
the right hand side. So we decided to line up the valances with that because all her kitchen cabinets went to that height. So we figured, you know what, let's continue that height from the area where you have all your kitchen cabinets and bring that over to the eating area. So when you walked in, it wasn't this like, there was a
Mhm.
lot of different heights going on in the room.
Right,
And
right.
then we just brought the valances a little bit into the glass again because she didn't want to cover those
Yep,
upper windows. So it
yep,
was just a simple solution just to add a little bit of something going on. So it just didn't feel like you had all this like empty wall space going
exactly.
on there.
Exactly. And if you were to do drapery panels on each wall, it just would be way too much. So this is just an elegant and a simple solution to treat the windows, to not leave them completely blank and empty, um, and but still have something on the walls there.
Right, right. It
Nicely
would have
done.
been a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip this one and let's go to your contact info.
Okay. If you have any valances or cornice projects or any question on any project that you're working on and you're located here in the New Jersey and New York area and you need our help, please reach out to us. Either send us a DM or email us at windowworksnj.com. I would be happy to help you on your next valance or cornice project.
And if you are in the Philadelphia area, we would love to hear from you. Vitalia Inc. is a one-stop shop, a go-to resource, a white glove, a concierge level service exclusively for interior designers ready to fly first class in the world of window treatments. So if you need support, we are here to help you. DM, PM, or give us a call or email. And until then, we will see you next Friday.
Alrighty, everyone, that concludes today's episode. We hope you took home or taking home some nuggets and some things that we were able to help and share with you. And we will see you next Friday at 9 a.m. because if it's Friday,
It is WTF. And no, no, it's not the WTF that you're thinking of. It is Window Treatment Friday Live. So please join us here every Friday at 9 a.m. as Kim and I unpack yet another fabulous, wonderful, intriguing, sexy topic of window treatments.
all right, everyone, have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.